सीरियसली कमीशन काम कर रहा हूँ, फोन में बोलना टाइम करना दे।
शांत बता जरा किस करना है
So now we are learning here anomalies that are caused because of the redundancy. So this is the employee project table in which we have employee ID, project number, employee name, project name, number of hours. So previously we have seen what is the insert anomaly. The problem with this table is we'll not be able to insert or add a new employee until and unless that employee is allotted a new project, or conversely we will not be able to add a new project until unless any employee is allotted to that project. So this is the problem what we may face. This is called as insert anomaly. Delete anomaly is when a project is deleted, it will result in deleting all the employees who work on that project. So what will happen? I'll again take you to that table, then I'll be able to explain. Now for example, in this example here, so I'm just making this part little bigger. This is our down. You concentrate on the down part. In the same slide, we have two pictures. So here we have employee project table. Now suppose let us assume that I want to delete. So what example we have seen here? Suppose I want to delete an employee. One Smith John remove. I mean, he leaves the organization. So when Smith goes, what will happen? When I'll delete Smith, this project X information will also go with Smith. Project Y information will also go with Smith. Anyways, somewhere else if X and Y exist, that will remain. Okay, let us see the other way. If I delete one particular project, so what will happen? Project Y, if I delete, then where all project Y is there? Project Y is here, then project Y is here at these two. So suppose if I delete project Y, what is going to happen is, as you all know that when we delete, what is the command we use in DBMS to delete? Delete from table name and where the condition. Suppose where the condition is where project name equal to product Y. So when I delete, the entire tuple is going to go. So that means what? This particular project, when I delete, this Joyce A also will be deleted. Then this Franklin T will be deleted. John Smith will be deleted. So sometimes if the employee is working on a single project, like for example, which is the project I'll take where the employee is working only on that project. Suppose I delete project Z. Project Z, if I delete, now this Narayan Ramesh K is working only on that project. The moment I delete project Z, this row will go, this row will go. So when I delete Wong Franklin from here, of course Wong Franklin will remain because other projects are going on and he is allocated other projects. So there will be no problem for Wong Franklin. But if I delete project Z, there will be a problem to Narayan and Ramesh because Narayan and Ramesh is not allotted to any other project. So along with that project Z, this employee also will automatically get deleted, which will be a loss to the database, isn't it? From the database, what I wanted to do, I just wanted to delete project Z. But that doesn't mean I wanted to delete the employee information. But because my project and employee information is not bifurcated, ideally, if we would create a database, ideally in the sense, if we would create ideal or correct database, we would have created two different tables like this. We wouldn't have mixed employee and project. So this could be employee table, this could be project table. So even when I delete one particular project from here, it will not affect the employees. It will delete only the projects. And then suppose if we had to create something like some employee has to work on some project, we would have taken another table here, which is called a works on. And in this works on, we would have taken employee number and project number. So which employee works on which table, which project. We would have taken only this information. Why it is advantageous to create three tables? The reason is, in this situation, when I want to delete a particular project, in this case, when we'll have three different tables, when I delete one particular entity from one table, it is not going to affect the other tables. It will delete only those tuples which are related, but it will not delete the other tuples like other values like employees. Suppose I delete one project, those projects will get deleted from here if you give on delete cascade, but it is not going to affect the employees table. Got it? So this is the advantage when you have tables bifurcated. But here in this case, it is not bifurcated, it is a combination table, which is wrong actually. And because of this mistake in not bifurcating the entities, the problem what we will face is, the moment we try to delete one particular project, we are also going to lose the employee who is working on that project. His details also will automatically go. So this is called as update anomaly. Clear with this? Okay, now let us see what is this is called as delete anomaly. I'm sorry. The moment I try to delete one entity, automatically it is going to cause a removal of other entity. So this is the problem. Now let us see other problems. I will see the other problem, that is update anomaly. Delete anomaly we have seen. Yeah, update anomaly. Here there is a PPT. I had maximized it for you. So I'll just minimize to read the whole sentence. Update anomaly is changing the name of the project number P1 from billing to customer accounting may cause this update to be made for all 100 employees working on project P1. Again, we'll take the same example, employee project table. So here I have employee project table. As you can see here, there are some employees working on the project. Suppose there is a project called as project Y, and I want to change the name of the project Y from project Y to billing. Suppose I want to change the name of the project Y from project Y to billing. New name what I want to give is billing. So suppose I want to give a new name as billing here for project Y. How many places I'll have to change it? I'll have to change at 1, 2, 3, and now this is a sample table. If it would be actual table, there may be hundreds of employees working on project Y and every product Y, and everywhere I might have given that name. So everywhere I will have to go and make changes. If the change doesn't happen at one place, there will be a problem. So unlike this is called as update anomaly, that I will have to make changes to all those places wherever I have used this project name. A solution for this could be, again, like earlier, if we had three different tables, if you would have project table here, if you would have employee table here, then what will happen? Suppose if I have to modify one particular project here in this case. So from project Y, I want to change it to some billing. So I will have modified a value, only one tuple in this particular table. So can you understand here? I will have modified only this project table, and then employees and who is working on that, and that too only one record. If I modify that particular project name, that will be sufficient, because every project will be entered only once in the project table. So those who are understanding, suppose this could be a project table. For example, what I am telling you, the scenario is, this is the project table, ideal scenario. If it would be correct, this was project table, and this would be the employee table. So if, unlike this, if we had different tables, then in the project table every project would have entered only one. This project Y, product Y, all these 3 times I need not enter, because here I will have another to show who is working on which project. I will have just used here one project number and employee number. So even when hundreds of employees are working on this project like this, if I change the name of the project, I'll not have to make changes to 100 places here. I'll have to make change to only one place. So this is the solution when we'll have bifurcated tables. Now this problem here we are facing, that if 100 employees are working on product Y at 100 places, I'll have to make those changes. So this problem arises because of my redundancy, and this problem is called as update anomaly, that the updation I'll have to make at 100 places, and even if I make changes to 99 places and one place is remaining, then that will cause a great problem in the query fetching. So these are called as anomalies. Hence, now when these anomalies cause problem, or you can say when the redundancy causes all these anomalies, and anomalies are nothing but mistakes or errors. So when errors can be caused, we should not have such table. So the guideline 2 says, design a schema, that means design a structure of the table, or decide your fields such that, design your table such that it does not suffer from insertion, deletion, or update anomalies. Now these all problems should not be faced. Then in that case, what you should do? If there are any anomalies present, then note them so that application can be made to take them into account. So there shouldn't be anomalies. That means what we should do, how we should design a table? We should design bifurcated tables and then join them properly. This is the solution. So this guideline is there. Then the third guideline says, relations, that means the tables should be designed such that their tuples will have as few, this word is very important, as few means as minimum, it should have minimum null values as possible. It is not possible to avoid null values. If it can be avoided, that will be the best scenario. But in case that sometimes we may have null values, but then what is the recommendation says, third guideline, that we should not have null values. Where we normally give null values. So this could be in exam, normally they ask this question, that give the reasons for nulls when the null values are allotted. So this was a 2 marks question asked in one of the previous question papers. Null values are given to the attributes when the values are not applicable or the values are invalid, or the values are unknown, then we give null value. Then values are known to exist, but right now they are unavailable. For example, if I have now Pradnya's details, but I don't have her date of birth, then the value is unavailable to me. So right now I may write null value there. So this is how nulls are entered in the table in many of the scenarios like this, that when the values are not applicable, like for example, uh, having a landline number. So for me, it is not available with me. I don't have landline number right now. So in that case, the value is not, the value doesn't exist only. So this could be then sometimes I may not know the value exists, but right now it doesn't have, I don't have. So this could be the various scenarios in which I may give null But what does the guideline say? Guideline says I should not have many nulls in my table because that is a bad sign. Then let us go to see the fourth, spurious tuples. What is meant by spurious tuples is bad designs for relational database may result in erroneous join operation. A lossless join property is used to guarantee meaningful results for join operations. So this is little what you can say tricky to understand, but let us see, try to see with the example. So I'll just try to insert a new slide. So I'll take fine. Suppose now I have a table here. Assume that these are the records. So here there is one table and here there is one table, suppose. Now in this I have to type. So this is the table. Suppose I have employee and then this is the table where I have department. So here I have employee details, here I have department details. So as you all know that the relationship between employee and department tables are, there are two types of relationship, that every employee works for a particular department. So here I have a joining of the table. Like for example, now here there is department number in my employee table. Along with the employee information, I have department number also, and here also I have department number. So suppose here I have employee 1 working for department 1. Then there is employee 2 working for department 3. Then there is employee 3 working for department 1. Now suppose this is the scenario. Anyway, it is not taking tab. It is employee number and department number. I hope you understand. Now here I have departments, like I have department number 1, then I have department number 2, then I have department number 3. Now in this case, as you all know, if I want to display all the employees who are working on department number 1, so as usual, we may display like this. Yeah. So who is working on department number 1? I can immediately understand like this, this. Suppose I want to, if my query is like this, it's not from the department number. If they ask me, department number 1's name is BCA and department number 2's name is BBA and department number 3's name is BCom. Suppose if the question asked is, tell me the employees who are working in BCA department. So if I have to tell the employees working in BCA department, then how will I know? I will have to first find out what is the department number of BCA. From there, I will have to check, okay, D1, wherever it matches, like this and this. Then I'll be fetching employees 1 and 3 are working in BCA department. Now, when I join this table, it is going to join properly. Why? Because I have this, my table is ideal. Now let us see what is a bad table. So bad table example is given here in the slide. So let us look at that. What do you mean by spurious table? So I'll have to clear